Throughout history, human beings have always searched for answers to the same timeless questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What role do I play in this vast tapestry of existence? These questions echo through generations, religions, spiritual traditions, and philosophies. And today, we are discovering a language capable of connecting the invisible with the visible. The union between archetypes and quantum physics. Together, they show us how vibration not only shapes our thoughts, but also directs the very path of life we choose to walk. Before we move forward, let me ask you for something truly essential. Please, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel Dazzle of Dawn. On the surface, it may appear to be a simple digital gesture, but on a deeper level, it is a symbolic action that sets quantum movement into motion. When you click like, you are not only supporting this space, you are also sending out a frequency to the universe that declares, I choose to expand. I choose to share light. It is like planting an energetic seed that will blossom first within you, and then in the lives of those who will be touched by this message. Now imagine every single person who subscribes as a spark being added to a great fire. Quantum physics reveals that particles, when they resonate with one another, fall into coherence, vibrating together in harmony. In the same way, by subscribing, you are not only gaining access to more content, you are also entering into a vibrational network of awakened consciousness. This seemingly small act becomes an invitation for today's insights to overflow into your life and ripple outward, reaching countless other seekers. Today, we will walk through the fascinating territory of archetypes. Perhaps you've already heard of them as universal symbols or inner characters that appear across different cultures and myths. Yet few people realize that archetypes are far more than psychological metaphors. They are vibrational patterns, energy blueprints that manifest in our lives according to the level of awareness we nurture. Seen through the lens of quantum physics, archetypes reveal themselves as living fields, alive, responsive, and constantly interacting with us. Each archetype can be understood as a very specific frequency. Just as light can be broken down into a spectrum of colors, the human psyche expresses itself through archetypes that highlight distinct facets of our being. The hero vibrates with courage, the sage resonates with discernment, and the lover radiates with the frequency of connection and intimacy. These are not just abstract concepts. They are vibrational realities that shape our thoughts, influence our emotions, and ultimately guide the decisions we make. And throughout this journey, I don't want you to simply understand these ideas intellectually. I want you to actually feel their vibration within your own life. Recall a moment when you acted bravely in the face of fear, or when you chose love over indifference. In those moments, you were channeling an archetype. You were tuning into a frequency that shaped your actions and your presence. And it is exactly this dance between energy, symbol, and lived experience that we are about to explore together in depth. Theoretical introduction: Archetypes and the collective unconscious. Carl Gustav Jung was one of the first to reveal that within us lives something far greater than the personal mind, the collective unconscious. In this vast inner space reside images, symbols, and recurring patterns that travel across centuries, cultures, and civilizations. These patterns are what we call archetypes, forces that reappear in myths, spiritual stories, religions, dreams, and even in the movies we watch today. They do not belong solely to you or me as individuals. They are part of a heritage shared by all of humanity. Quantum physics helps us understand this phenomenon at a deeper level. Just as subatomic particles are never isolated but remain mysteriously entangled within an invisible web, our own consciousness carries seeds of universal experience. An archetype, therefore, is not just a metaphorical idea or an image. It is a frequency, a vibration that exists within the quantum field of the universe, always waiting to be activated by our awareness, our state of being, and the choices we make each day. Whenever you resonate with a story of courage, it is because the hero archetype stirs something alive within you. When you feel deeply moved by an act of compassion, it is the caregiver archetype vibrating inside your soul. These emotional responses are not random accidents. They occur because your energy is aligning with a larger symbolic field. Just as a string produces sound when struck, consciousness resonates with archetypes when our vibration falls into harmony with their frequency. From a metaphysical perspective, archetypes can be seen as energetic blueprints, invisible molds shaping human experiences, thoughts, and behaviors. Consider how the same myth or story can evoke powerful emotions in people from entirely different backgrounds and eras. This happens because the essence of the archetype exists outside of time and space. It is as if archetypes were eternal matrices that manifest again and again, clothed in different cultural symbols, yet carrying the same timeless core of meaning. For a practical example, imagine someone facing a major professional setback, perhaps losing their job. At first, they may be overwhelmed by fear, falling into the vibration of the shadow. But if they awaken the hero within, they suddenly feel the inner strength to rise, to persevere, to transform obstacles into stepping stones. This surge of resilience doesn't arise solely from personal willpower. It comes from activating a collective field, a reservoir of courage encoded in the human psyche, and channeling it into their unique life story. When we begin to understand archetypes as living expressions of the collective unconscious, activated through the vibration we sustain, something remarkable happens. We realize we are never truly alone in our struggles. Every challenge we encounter connects us to ancient patterns, shared by countless souls before us. Each thought, each feeling, and each choice aligns us with archetypal fields much larger than ourselves. It is this dance between the individual and the collective that reveals how life organizes itself through patterns that are unseen, yet profoundly real. The vibrational energy of archetypes. Quantum physics teaches us a profound truth. At the most fundamental level, everything is vibration. What we call matter is nothing more than patterns of energy, oscillating at different frequencies. Particles, when observed, reveal themselves as waves of probability in constant motion. And what we perceive as reality is the result of these vibrations collapsing into tangible form. Archetypes operate in a very similar way. Each one carries its own unique vibration, its own energetic signature, which resonates within us and influences how we experience, interpret, and shape our lives. Take the lover archetype, for instance. Its vibration is tender, warm, and directed toward intimacy, union, and heartfelt connection. When you attune yourself to this energy, you naturally attract circumstances and people that reflect that frequency back to you. On the other hand, the warrior archetype vibrates with firmness, determination, and the fire of action. When you activate this archetype, you find yourself filled with courage and drive, ready to face challenges head-on. Both archetypes demonstrate that the vibration you sustain becomes the reality you step into. From a metaphysical perspective, life does not simply respond to what we think. It responds to what we vibrate. This means that you can visualize or mentally desire something. But if your vibration is misaligned, the outcome will rarely match your intention. Archetypes act as bridges, aligning thoughts, emotions, and energy into a unified current. When this alignment occurs, manifestation becomes powerful and clear, because you are resonating with archetypal fields that amplify your intention and anchor it into reality. Here's a practical example. Imagine someone who dreams of starting a business but feels trapped by fear and hesitation. By consciously connecting with the creator archetype, that person taps into a vibration of innovation, imagination, and boldness. The fear may still be present, but the frequency of the creator overrides it, infusing the individual with confidence and vision. This doesn't just inspire them, it literally shifts their energy field, allowing them to attract opportunities and take action with clarity and conviction. Archetypal vibrations also reveal themselves in collective settings. A community embodying the ruler archetype creates order, structure, and stability. Meanwhile, a society animated by the rebel archetype pushes against limitations, challenges outdated systems, and births new possibilities. These patterns demonstrate that archetypes are not confined to individuals. They are currents of energy that can shape entire movements, cultures, and historical eras. When masses of people vibrate together with a particular archetype, waves of transformation ripple across the collective. To see archetypes as vibrations is to recognize that they are not static characters or abstract ideas, but living forces woven into the very fabric of existence. They are present in every choice, every word, and every emotion. And when we understand this dimension, we no longer see ourselves as passive recipients of life. We become conscious participants, able to select which frequency we wish to embody. In choosing which archetype to activate, we are in truth choosing the reality we desire to live. Archetypes and the personal journey. Every human life can be seen as a story, a great narrative filled with chapters of discovery, challenge, and growth. Within this unfolding journey, archetypes appear as inner characters guiding us, sometimes invisibly but always powerfully. They arise in moments when we most need them, carrying lessons and energies that awaken specific aspects of who we are, whether courage, compassion, creativity, or wisdom. Archetypes remind us that our path is not random. it is woven with deeper meaning. Just as the mythological hero must cross deserts, face monsters, and uncover hidden treasures, each of us passes through phases where different archetypes take center stage. In childhood, the innocent often prevails, radiating purity and wonder. In adolescence and youth, the explorer and the lover emerge, guiding the search for identity and connection. With maturity, the creator and the ruler often arise, calling us to innovation, leadership, and responsibility. Life is, in many ways, a sequence of archetypal initiations. The quantum physics shows us that every choice opens a branching of possibilities, many potential futures existing side by side until we select one. Archetypes mirror this same dynamic. They are not cages that trap us, but potentials awaiting our alignment. At any moment, we can choose which archetype we embody, and that choice shapes the scenarios we experience. It is as though our personal story is a cosmic book, and each chapter unfolds according to the archetype we resonate with most strongly. Consider a practical example. Someone who suddenly loses their job may at first feel consumed by fear, drawn into the frequency of the shadow. Yet if they consciously step into the warrior archetype, they find an inner current of strength rising to meet the challenge. This vibration of resilience empowers them to see new opportunities, to act with courage, and to rebuild their path. The situation remains the same, but the archetype chosen transforms the meaning and outcome of the experience. Metaphysics teaches us that nothing in life is static. Just as rivers carve new paths and seasons shift in endless cycles, so too can we change the archetypes that govern our existence. You are not condemned to remain forever in the roles of the victim or the rebel. You can intentionally awaken the sage, the magician, or the caregiver when the moment calls for it. This freedom to choose is one of the greatest gifts of awareness. It allows us to continually renew and recreate who we are. Recognizing your life as a tapestry woven by archetypes gives you a powerful perspective. Every challenge is not merely an obstacle, but an invitation. Pain may call forth the warrior. Loneliness may summon the lover. Doubt may awaken the sage. Each archetype enters your story not to define you permanently, but to expand you. When seen this way, the personal journey becomes a sacred dance, where every circumstance is a portal to deeper consciousness and greater vibrational harmony. Collective archetypes and the transformation of societies. Archetypes do not act only on an individual level. They also shape the movements of entire societies. Every historical era carries a dominant archetype, an energy field that influences values, institutions, and even the destiny of nations. When the ruler archetype prevails, we see centralized structures of power, order, and hierarchy. When the rebel dominates, we witness revolutions, upheavals, and the breaking of old patterns. These archetypal shifts reveal that history itself is guided by symbolic forces moving beneath the surface. The quantum physics suggests that energy fields can expand and resonate across large scales, producing coherence within groups of people. In the same way, collective archetypes ripple through the unconscious of millions at once, creating waves of resonance that manifest as cultural revolutions, artistic renaissances, or even global awakenings. This is why humanity often experiences parallel movements in different places simultaneously. The collective is tuning into the same archetypal frequency, like instruments vibrating together in a vast cosmic orchestra. We can clearly see this during times when freedom becomes the central cry of the people. In such moments, the explorer and rebel archetypes unite, stirring societies to break free from oppressive systems and search for new horizons. At other times, when communities long for healing and restoration, the caregiver archetype emerges strongly, inspiring compassion, humanitarian initiatives, and solidarity that transcends borders. These collective vibrations shape the emotional climate of entire generations. A modern example of this phenomenon is the digital age in which we live. Here, the messenger archetype has come into extraordinary prominence. Millions of people armed with digital platforms have become channels for information, transmitting ideas, knowledge, and inspiration across the globe in seconds. This archetype has reshaped not only how we communicate, but also how we learn, organize, and awaken. The messenger is not just active, it has become one of the defining forces of our time. From a metaphysical perspective, such movements are known as egregores, collective energetic fields created when many minds and hearts vibrate in resonance. A society influenced by the magician archetype may produce breakthroughs in science and spirituality, bringing forth periods of profound transformation. Under the influence of the warrior archetype, societies might experience conflict, resistance, and decisive struggles. By learning to identify which archetype dominates a culture, we gain insight into the invisible patterns driving history forward. Understanding the power of collective archetypes reminds us that we are never isolated beings. We are part of something far greater. Our personal vibration not only affects our own life, but contributes to the wider energetic climate of humanity. Each thought of compassion, each act of courage, each moment of wisdom feeds into the collective field. To embody higher archetypes is to participate directly in the transformation of the world, adding light and coherence to the shared journey of humankind. The meeting point between archetypes and quantum mechanics. When we observe archetypes through the lens of quantum mechanics, we realize they are not merely psychological symbols or cultural metaphors. They are fields of living potential. Quantum mechanics teaches us that particles exist in multiple states of possibility until they are observed. In a similar way, archetypes exist within us as latent energies, always present in the field of consciousness, waiting for our attention and intention to call them into expression. Just as the collapse of the wave function transforms probability into concrete reality, the act of focusing on an archetype collapses potential into lived experience. When you decide to act with courage, you collapse into the warrior archetype. When you choose wisdom, you embody the sage. Each decision of attention mirrors the quantum observer effect. By directing focus, you transform unseen potential into reality that can be felt, lived, and shared with others. Metaphysically, this process reveals itself as the exercise of vibrational free will. While unconscious habits may keep us repeating the same patterns, the moment we awaken awareness, we are free to choose which archetype we wish to embody. That choice is not only mental, it requires emotional alignment and vibrational coherence. The stronger and clearer your inner state, the more powerfully the archetype resonates with you, shaping your behavior, your perception, and even the opportunities that surround you. Consider a practical example. A person facing a heated conflict may initially react impulsively, allowing the rebel archetype to dominate their energy. But if they pause, breathe, and choose differently, they can consciously call upon the ruler archetype, bringing order, clarity, and leadership into the situation. Notice that the external environment may not change immediately, yet the inner vibration reshapes how events unfold. The archetype we align with decides the narrative we experience. On this dialogue between archetypes and quantum mechanics also shows us that we are never confined to a single role. Within us, countless archetypes coexist simultaneously, much like a particle existing in superposition, holding many states at once. At any moment, you could embody the lover, the creator, the magician, or the caregiver. Life becomes a dynamic stage where the archetype you most strongly resonate with steps forward to play its part in the unfolding of your journey. Recognizing this interplay frees us from the illusion of limitation. Archetypes are not chains that bind, but maps of possibility that expand the horizons of who we can become. By integrating the principles of quantum mechanics, we see that the universe itself is generous, overflowing with probabilities. Each archetype is like a doorway into a different aspect of infinity. The invitation is simple yet profound. With every thought, every feeling, every act of intention, you choose which doorway you step through. Archetypes as spiritual and metaphysical guides. On the spiritual journey, archetypes can be understood as invisible guides, subtle companions that walk with us through the many gateways of existence. Each archetype carries within it a lesson, a vibrational key that unlocks deeper layers of the self. To connect with them is not merely to imagine abstract symbols. It is to enter into dialogue with living intelligences that whisper truths to the soul, guiding us toward awareness, transformation, and expansion. Metaphysics teaches us that the universe rarely communicates in plain language. It speaks in symbols, dreams, synchronicities, and subtle signs. Archetypes are part of this cosmic language, a universal grammar written across cultures and histories. When you begin to recognize the archetype showing up in your life, you are essentially learning to read the hidden script of the universe. What once seemed like coincidence becomes communication, and life itself reveals a deeper message. Take the shadow archetype, for example. It often arises in times of darkness, when we confront fears, insecurities, or denied aspects of the self. The shadow does not come to imprison, it comes to teach. Its metaphysical message is clear. There are parts of you that must be seen, embraced, and transformed. By facing the shadow consciously, you recover hidden strengths, integrate forgotten truths, and discover that even your darkest nights can give rise to new dawns of awareness. Another powerful example is the magician archetype. It appears when we are ready to realize that reality is not rigid but fluid, constantly shaped by the vibrations of thought and emotion. The magician teaches that you hold the ability to transmute pain into wisdom, obstacles into opportunities, and chaos into harmony. In essence, the magician reveals that the human being is not a passive spectator of existence but a co-creator, an alchemist of energy and intention. Archetypes can also be intentionally summoned through spiritual practice. Meditating on the sage may sharpen your inner clarity and discernment. Invoking the warrior before a challenge can awaken courage to face it with strength. Visualizing the lover may open your heart to compassion, connection, and intimacy. These practices are not fantasy. They are ways of aligning your vibration with specific archetypal fields, allowing their wisdom and energy to flow more fully into your daily life. To see archetypes as spiritual guides is to realize that we do not walk this path alone. We are surrounded by timeless forces that have guided countless lives before ours, and that remain active in the collective field of humanity. When you open yourself to their presence, you step into resonance with a wisdom that transcends the personal mind. Archetypes then cease to be distant ideas and become allies, beacons of light on your journey of awakening and transformation. Integrating archetypes into everyday life. Many people assume that archetypes belong only to psychology textbooks, spiritual practices, or symbolic myths. Yet in truth, archetypes manifest constantly in our daily lives, woven into our choices, gestures, and interactions. To recognize them in everyday life is to see that every action, no matter how ordinary it may appear, carries a deeper resonance. This awareness allows us to live more consciously, to align our vibration with the energies we truly wish to embody, and to make even simple moments profoundly meaningful. At work, for instance, the ruler archetype may emerge when you step into leadership, organizing people or bringing structure where chaos once prevailed. The creator archetype expresses itself when you introduce a new idea, innovate, or transform raw potential into tangible form. Seeing these roles as archetypal expressions expands your perception. What looks like a routine task is, in fact, participation in a symbolic dance where energy and meaning intersect. In relationships, archetypes such as the lover and the caregiver reveal themselves most clearly. When you embrace someone with kindness, you embody the lover. When you listen deeply or support a friend during hardship, you activate the caregiver. These are not trivial gestures. They are sacred acts that shape the quality of energy flowing between people. Through these archetypes, intimacy becomes more than connection. It becomes vibration made visible in human form. Imagine a practical scenario. A family conflict arises. If you allow yourself to be consumed by frustration, the shadow archetype may dominate, leading to reactions of anger or blame. But if you pause, take a breath, and summon the sage, you bring patience, clarity, and calm wisdom into the situation. The external facts may remain unchanged, yet the vibration you choose reshapes the emotional field, creating space for resolution and healing. That is the power of conscious archetypal integration. Quantum physics reminds us that observation shapes reality. By noticing which archetype is in play, you shift from living unconsciously to living intentionally. Awareness itself becomes transformative, like shining a light in a darkened room. Instead of reacting automatically, you become free to choose a different frequency. In this way, daily life is no longer a series of random events, but a sacred workshop where vibration, intention, and archetypal energy converge to shape your path. Integrating archetypes into daily life is ultimately a practice of presence. It is about asking yourself, which archetype am I expressing right now? That simple question creates space for choice. Do you wish to continue in that vibration or shift into another? With this awareness, every conversation, every decision, and every interaction becomes a doorway to greater consciousness. Routine dissolves into ritual, and everyday life becomes a living dialogue between your inner world and the infinite field of archetypes. The human being as a synthesis of archetypes. Within every human being exists an entire universe of archetypal possibilities. We are not confined to a single pattern, but rather embody a symphony of forces that coexist, overlap, and alternate as life unfolds. The hero may rise in the same soul that also houses the sage, the rebel, and the lover. This diversity is not contradiction, but richness. We are living tapestries woven from countless archetypes, and it is this complexity that gives depth and beauty to the human experience. In quantum mechanics, there is the principle of superposition, where a particle can exist in multiple states at once until an observation determines its outcome. Human beings reflect this same principle. All archetypes reside within us as latent possibilities, and it is our attention, intention, and vibration that decide which one comes forward in a given moment. We are, in essence, walking quantum fields, containing layers of potential waiting to be realized. This awareness frees us from the limiting belief that we are permanently defined by one role or identity. Perhaps you lived for years under the heavy influence of the victim or the shadow, repeating cycles of fear or doubt. But that does not define your destiny forever. At any point, you can shift your vibration, awaken another archetype, and set a new course for your life. Identity is not a prison. It is movement, flux, an ever-changing dance of infinite possibilities. Consider a practical example. Someone who has always identified as shy or reserved may, at a certain point, awaken the messenger archetype within themselves. By resonating with this vibration, they discover a talent for speaking, teaching, or sharing insights with others. What seemed hidden becomes revealed. This transformation is not imposed from the outside. It is the unfolding of an archetype long present, now activated by intention and resonance. The inner shift reshapes the outer world. From a metaphysical perspective, this dynamic is the awakening of the soul in layers. Each archetype is like a flame illuminating a different corner of the self, and life is the stage where these lights appear and fade, creating a mosaic of meaning. To honor this multiplicity is to recognize that every phase, every role, and every archetype we embody adds to the wholeness of who we are becoming. Nothing is wasted. Every archetype contributes to the greater harmony of the soul. Thus, the human being is not a sum of isolated archetypes, but a living synthesis of them all. We are bridges between ancient symbols and present choices, between collective fields and personal vibrations. By understanding this, we begin to live with more freedom, knowing that at any given moment, we can choose which archetype to embody. This choice transforms life into a conscious act of creation, a continuous journey where the self is forever expanding, forever resonating with new dimensions of being. Closing and final invitation. We have reached the conclusion of this journey, but as with all paths of consciousness, the end is not a finish line. It is a gateway. What we have explored together is not just knowledge for the mind, but energy that continues to vibrate within you. Each archetype we discussed is now a seed planted in the soil of your awareness. Whether that seed blooms depends on how you nurture it, with attention, with intention, and with the willingness to let it unfold into living experience. We have revisited the way archetypes dwell in the collective unconscious, how they vibrate through our psyche, and how they intersect with the principles of physics and quantum mechanics. We saw that they are not just symbols, but living fields that respond to our observation and our state of being. We learned that we can shift between them, integrate them into our personal lives, recognize them in society, and even invite them as spiritual guides who walk beside us in times of need. But the true learning begins only when knowledge becomes experience. I invite you now to look at your daily life with new eyes. Ask yourself in each moment, which archetype am I embodying right now? This simple question creates awareness, and awareness creates freedom. When you realize that you can consciously choose the vibration you align with, you also realize that you can choose the reality you step into. Every choice is an act of creation. Every moment, a new doorway. And here, I extend a heartfelt invitation. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel Deslumbre do Amanhecer. On the surface, it is a digital gesture, but on a deeper level, it is a declaration, a vibrational choice. Each like and subscription strengthens this field of light and sends a ripple of resonance into the collective. By supporting this channel, you not only receive content that nourishes your own path, but you help spread this wisdom to countless others who are seeking their awakening. Remember, archetypes are not foreign forces imposed from outside. They are mirrors reflecting who you already are at your deepest essence. They awaken from within. Every time you embody the hero, the sage, the lover, or the creator, you are activating a frequency that already belongs to your soul. Quantum physics reminds us that each vibrational choice collapses infinite possibilities into one lived reality. With each decision, you hold the power to step into a new expression of yourself. So as this chapter comes to a close, I leave you with this reminder. The journey is ongoing. Archetypes are not simply ideas to be studied, but living keys to consciousness and transformation. Allow yourself to observe, to embody, to experiment, and above all, to live with intention. May this knowledge serve as a flame that lights your way, not only guiding your own path, but radiating outward to illuminate the lives of others. Awakening begins with the individual, but its impact is always collective. And so, see you in the next video, with more information on everything that involves growing, evolving, transforming, and manifesting. See you soon.